Hello there! It's Miss Fo here with this week's craft, and I am very excited because we are going to be working with one of my favorite materials, roving wool. And we will be making these felted acorn cap necklaces. You have enough to make 2, and you will be using for these the 2 acorn caps pre-drilled that I have provided for you. You can see their holes are already drilled for you. Your length of black string, a pair of scissors, a towel, because this will get a little messy. So you might want to actually do this craft in the bathroom or maybe at your kitchen because yeah, it's a little wet. I'm in my crafting corner because this is how I demonstrate, but you are going to need a rag because it's wet. A vessel containing a few drops of dish soap and another vessel without any soap. These are going to be containing the hot water for our felting. Now, having said that, it's imperative that you understand that the water be as warm as possible without hurting anybody. But make sure that it's not cold. Cold water doesn't work very well for wet felting, or at least in this project I found. So just get some nice warm water, get your towel, get your equipment, and I'll meet you back here and we'll begin. Okay, we're back. I have my soapy water right here in my pink bowl because that was where my few drops of dish soap was. And this one's just containing clear, warm water, okay? Now, first I'm going to take my string because we do have enough to make 2 necklaces, okay? We're going to take our length of string and match the ends just like so to fold it in half, okay? Once we get that folded in half, just like that, we're going to cut it in half right there at that loop. And now we have 2 equal lengths of string for 2 felted acorn necklaces. Now, this big bunch of roving wool that you have in your packet is actually enough for not only this week's craft, but a craft for the following week that I have planned that also deals with some wet felting, which is going to be really, really cool. So you have enough felting wool for not only this week's craft, but a following craft. So we're going to make sure that when we take for this time, because they're little balls that we're making, that we make sure that we leave enough. But we definitely want to fill our cap, okay? So let's choose a little bit of this. I'm going to go with a little bit of orange. Definitely take some of this blue. And we just kind of take little bits of it, right? That's that marbling effect that you see here. You can see the pinks and the golds that I used in this one, and the greens and the blues and the whites that I used in this acorn. So use what feels good to you. What's your favorite color? Mine is purple, always. I love purples and blues. My favorite is a combination that I like to call blurple. Let's get a little white in here. And remembering that I have plenty of roving wool left over to not only make yet another necklace, but next week's craft. So what I'm going to do is now we're going to go ahead and take this fluffy ball and turn it into a nice tight felted ball that would fit in our acorn cap and kind of mimic an acorn, a fuzzy, colorful acorn. First, we're going to go ahead and we're going to dip it into our soapy water. Dip. And as we dip it, we're going to kind of get that soapiness on inside. Very good. Kind of washing it and starting to form it, pack it together so that it can start to get into a ball. Okay, so starting to form it and push it back together and squeeze it and it gets all soapy. This is super fun. Keep your towel handy. It's definitely not have your scissors because we're done with those. Now we're gonna dip it in our non-soapy water, squeezing it out over the soapy water. And do it again. Soapy, soapy. And as you can see, as you continue to dip, it starts coming together. And work it, and work it, and work it. And as you can see, the fibers starting to kind of puff up and starting to stick to one another. That's a good thing. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take it and start to roll it. Start to roll it. That is that friction or that rubbing that really makes the felting happen. Keep dipping back and forth and rubbing. Now this is something that takes time. It is a slow craft, but it's super fun. Messy, but fun. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put you on time lapse. I'm gonna kind of speed this up a little bit and I will meet you at the end, okay? Cool. Are back. Looks like our felted ball has now dried. Feels nice and good. I'm not squeezing any more water out of it really. And so now we're going to take a little bit of glue, just plain old white glue, just a tiny bit to stick it in our cap. However, and then that's what becomes the pendant. However, before we stick it in our cap, we want to anchor it into the acorn itself. How do we do that? Nice and easy. Miss Vo has already pre-drilled some holes for you right there in your acorn, and you can see them right there. At this point, you're going to take your string and guide it through that hole. There. There's my string. Guided through one of my acorn cap holes. Take the string again, guide it through to go back out through the top, okay? So once again, put through, one end through the top, bringing it through to the other side, through the bottom, bringing it back through the top again, okay? I'm gonna do it one more time for you to see firsthand. Down through a hole, bring it on over, pull it through, bring it back through to the top, okay? And there we are again with another necklace, okay? So we made only one felt ball though, so if you decide to make another, maybe you want to make one that's just a single color, or maybe you want a different color palette, like this time I used a warmer palette, this time I used a cooler palette. Now I'm going to take my cap off of my glue, and I literally need just a couple of drops of glue to anchor it, just like I used just a couple of drops of my dish soap, okay? Not much. There's some drops, kind of spread it around in my acorn cap like so. Okay. Now I'm going to take a spot and just kind of push it on down in there. A spot that I like. Once that is dry, I can take my necklace. This is a sample, so it's much, much smaller. Stick